Today's podcast is awesome. It's going to help managers become better. Actually, it's for everybody. Expectations and accountability. We're going to talk to a general manager who's getting it done. Thank you for joining us at Prepare to Win. All right, rock and roll. Welcome to Prepare to Win. I'm David Lowe, the automotive sales coach. Obviously, this podcast is focused on preparing you to win, being better today than yesterday. And in these few minutes, I want to help introduce you to the next level of leadership. And we're going to talk about that today with Eric Sarjeant, our guest, GM of Toyota, Martin Toyota in Noblesville. Eric, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you've been our partner for about 3 years. It's been awesome. Known you for longer than that. Maybe that story will come out or not. But I watched your leadership. And the reason I asked Eric to be on today, quite frankly, is we teach the 4 pillars of leadership, right? Lead by example, set clear and high expectations, hold your team positively accountable, and love them unconditionally. That is coach and correct and congratulate with respect, right? Those 4 pillars, that drives everything. And Eric, you really live those 4 pillars. And one specific thing that you do that I love, because you copy me on them, is your tracking system. You actually track so much of what's going on, communicate it once or twice a week to your team, and use it to that's the 4 pillars. Lead by example, set clear and high expectation, the accountability, that reporting, and then you can use that reporting to correct. But I was wondering if you could walk people through what you do, why you do, how you do, whatever, about this powerful leadership tool. I've watched you catapult that store, and I know that this is one of the tools that you use to do that.
Sure. Yeah. Appreciate. Thank you for the compliment. So yeah, we have basically one of the biggest things that I attribute the unify, like the team being on the same playing field, I guess, is that we know exactly where we're at any point in time throughout the month. It's not an autopsy at the end of the month. We're really trying to figure it out as we go throughout the month, day by day, and then week by week. So the reports that you referenced that I send to my team is we have really 2 main emails that we go over in a meeting format in person with everybody. So the Saturday morning meeting is basically I send it out kind of like a PowerPoint style format where I take every piece of information that I think is relevant to the day or to the week, and then I put it into an email, and then we kind of just I'm in our conference room here, and we got 3 85-inch TVs on the wall, so it's hooked up to a Surface, and so we kind of scroll through the email. So everybody has a historical record of it that they can save in their inbox to look back. Oh, where were we, last week? Where are we today? Can we compare the notes? And then of course we talk about it in real time, and everybody participates in it. So the sales, the finance managers, the sales consultants, the internet department, everybody is in the same room at the same time. So we have like 30 chairs in here, and there's standing room and some, and depending on if anyone's off or not. But we go through all the metrics that are important. How many appointments have we set? How many appointments what's our shown percentage? What's our walk-in traffic like? What's our walk-in closing percentage? What's our internet closing percentage? What's our phone closing percentage? Where are we at with our environmental products? Because that's an absolutely huge push. We talk about new trades. We talk about what's hot, what's coming in, what percentage of our inventory is pre-sold, what percentage of our inventory is available. So really just there's a plethora of metrics that I find to be extremely important. And then we go through it and we talk about it and we do it again and again and again. And I think that's part of the consistency is extremely important, because, the first time that you talk about something, somebody their head may not be in the right spot, but after you've done it, we've been in this building for 96 months now, since we opened. And it's just one of those things, like everybody knows the drill. Any one of my sales consultants, any one of my managers can run the meeting. Once that email gets sent out, there's a format. This is what we're talking about. And that's what we all have to be on the same page.
It's awesome. So if I could stop right there, you might have more thoughts to add to this. Don't forget those. So basically, we always say you huddle up daily and warm up your skills and then cover the game plan. What do you need to know to win today?
Mm-hmm.
In your email, you send them an email that tells them, here's where we are, and here's some information you need. So where we are, results, sales, totals, like you said, walk-ins, closing, blah, blah, blah. So there's results. Where are we? And you give them tools. You just said fresh used cars. I've noticed problem used cars on your list. You get those out before they become a big problem. Sure. I've also noticed, looking at your list, incoming new cars on the lot, not sold, available. You provide them a lot of tools, top of mind awareness that gives them kind of the game plan for the day. Here's your tools, people. Get out and make it happen. I think that's a driving force, not just in your numbers, your sales numbers, your gross profit is excellent. But when I walk in your store, it's different. The culture there is excellent, and your turnover is really low. And that's a testament to your leadership. And I think this tool that you just described that sets clear and high expectations and holds them accountable, because the numbers are right there. There's individual numbers, there's store numbers, and then there's inventory information, right? And so It's pretty simple. I love it. So how long does it take you to put together? That must be a big job.
So we really, the meeting that we just referred to is my Saturday morning meeting. I get in around 6 a.m. and the meeting is at 8:30. So I typically take, 2.5 hours to prepare everything, because there's a lot of data that we get from our CRM, a lot of data from our DMS, a lot of data from our vendors, like, our iPacket and our video vendor and all that. So there's like a lot of compiling the review websites, like just going through lots of different websites to compile it, and I'll kind of download it to Excel, make it uniform so it's all, very organized and legible. Yeah. A couple hours. And then on Sunday, I do the same thing for manager meeting on Monday morning, which is very, it's a lot of the same data, but it's got Saturday numbers built into it, which Saturday's meeting is in the morning, so it's only up to Friday. Right. But then we can talk about a little bit more confidential information. Where are we at with our, our gross profits, our finance numbers? We really get to dive to the next level on Monday. And then Tuesday through Friday, it's just sales huddle, sales training. In the meeting, we go through, obviously, your program, and we could go into details of that as well. Yeah. But about 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours per, about 4 hours total, 2 to 2.5 hours per meeting to prepare, to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And the cool thing too is that because I never skip a beat, even when I'm on vacation, I can go back 6 years, 7 years worth of weeks, and I can see exactly where we were at this time last year, and so on and so forth. It's without having to pull financial statements and pull a whole lot of reporting. It's all right there, and in the folder that I save it to.
To me, that's real leadership. Now, so it's worth the time, isn't it? A lot of you, they're so busy. Everybody's moving counterclockwise, reacting to things. I believe that this reporting, this communication, this setting expectations, holding your team accountable through this reporting every week is moving you clockwise forward instead of counterclockwise. In fact, you're not probably answering questions all day because you're answering them up front in your huddle in so many ways, especially with inventory and stuff like that. I feel like it's great. Now, I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember years ago when we first started talking, coming in, and you had a whiteboard you did this on. So this is really, it's next level where you're at now. Is there a little bit of an evolution there, a learning curve for you, development?
I don't know if you remember that the first time we met, but I remember you when you were just starting automotive sales coach, and we had time to meet, and I was just so busy. I was working, 80 hours a week, and I didn't have time to meet with anyone. So I said, if you can come in on Saturday morning at 5 a.m., I'll be at the store preparing for my meeting, and you can talk to me while I prepare for my meeting. I was trying to maximize my time, and I did not think that you would actually say yes, but you're like, yeah, I'll come in at 5 o'clock in the morning. So literally it was dark outside. You can't, you were knocking on the window at 5 o'clock in the morning. I let you in. And before I had, everything kind of evolves in time. And so the format that we're discussing today, that wasn't always like that, of course. No. It started with, printing all my specs and then handwriting it on a whiteboard in the boardroom before the meeting. and I had to go through, our district rankings and how we're doing in our region and how are we doing, versus our competition. And it was a lot, and my handwriting's horrible too.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things that, as time evolved, we switched it to an email format. And then obviously it's been fine tuned for many years at this point. So it is pretty good, but.
So you made a commitment early to do it, and you got there early. It's on you, but the format you've constantly improved. Right now, I look through it. I'm lucky enough to get a copy of it, and thank you for that. Keep that coming. I love looking through it, and I can scan it so quickly, see the good, the bad, and ugly so quickly. And I love the fact that you've got, pace, goal, right? And I love the fact that you've got your goal and your current pace on your actual. You've got those 3 graphs all the time. I love looking at those. And it gives your whole team that where we at on the field, what down is it? What, how many yards for a first down? You know what I mean? What's
Absolutely.
the score? And I think that scoreboard, we have that on the playbook using the scoreboard. You've just taken that. You're basically that score pad that's in the offensive coordinator's booth up there in the sky with the 7 spotters counting everything. On the field, the players have this scoreboard, and you're providing them after game analysis weekly that here, not only did we win or lose, but let me show you how we're winning and how we're losing in great detail. And let me give you some information that's going to help you win today. Beautiful. So that's fantastic. So you segued into what does training look like at your dealership? And you said you've got the Saturday is that review, the whole team. Monday is the manager training. Of course, that's where you get the finance numbers and all that stuff. Like you said, Tuesday through Friday, you huddle every day. You do training. Tell us about that just a minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mondays are Mondays. You got a lot of internet leads, and you got a lot of Saturday recovery to do. So we don't have a sales huddle on Monday morning typically in terms of training. We do typically have some after the manager meeting. The managers will go out and have a little powwow. But in terms of training specifically, where we bring in the playbook, especially like the new version with the AI modules and stuff, we do that on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So at our dealership, we have 23 sales consultants. So a lot of people they're all off on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So Monday, Friday, Saturday, we have all hands unless somebody's on PTO. So during those days, we really do the same thing. For the past 3 or 4 weeks, we've been going through the AI modules, which has been just awesome. We started the year off with the new program. So we kind of went through the 21-day fast start. Everybody's done it, which is great because you got to redo it every year.
Right.
I love the way that you set it up so that you redo it every year because Toyota training, Toyota certification training, it's the same thing. At the end of the year, same thing with our harassment, our cyber training, all that stuff. You got to do it every single year because things update. And also, you just don't retain things.
It's not about completion, right? It's about continuance, constant. Like an offensive lineman would never say, "I practiced blocking last year." Same thing. Yeah, keep going. That's great. Yeah.
So with the huddles, all hands on. I mean, we have to all sales managers, all finance managers, and all sales consultants have to be in the boardroom at the. We start at 8:45. We typically we say we end at 9, but we typically go 5-10 minutes over. But lately we have a video conference. We have a video on our a video sound bar, and so we let the sales consultants log into their automotive sales coach account, and we'll do the AI role play on the spot in front of 30 people. Talk about being put on the spot, and always the first person that kind of gets. If some of them are prepared, they've done it before, they're ready to not be embarrassed, and then some of them they didn't take the time to practice, and then they have to kind of get put on the spot. And then as we do 2 or 3 a day, we kind of get throughout the week we can flush a whole lesson out. And it's just great being put on the spot. It's so much. You're already on the spot because you're being scorecarded by an AI agent, but then you throw on the fact that you got all your managers and you got your coworkers on it. It's such good training. It really adds another layer of legitimacy to it by doing it in a group setting.
So you're sitting, it's just like a football practice. They all huddle around and they watch the plays, right? You got to be able to perform, to be on the team, to be on the field. And I love that. So a couple things about that. I notice the pace of the leader is pace of the pack. This is not about the salespeople. This is about everybody. Your managers first. In fact, I think you told me the other day that you're a little pissy because somebody had more points than you. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. So on the new playbook, on the new platform,
Yeah,
you get there's an algorithm. You get X amount of points for doing X amount of modules. And
yeah.
I have a couple sales consultants that are ahead of me on the leaderboard right now. So when I say everybody has to do the training, I'm talking not just sales consultants, not just sales managers, but the finance managers and myself.
Yeah.
You can't ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do. So I got to do my AI modules before the end of the week. I got to follow through and make sure that we're all on point, because at the end of the year it's going to reset. We're going to have to do it again. So yeah.
Shit, dude, I absolutely love that. So I work with a lot of dealerships, obviously, and a lot of dealers push this down to managers. A lot of managers push it down to sales, and that's not. We call that their traditional. The Cardone and the Verdi. Hey, buy our system, and then use these reports to not pay or pay your people if they did it. That's the traditional way training's been in the car business. We're more the team way, right? The manager-led culture. That's what you're using right now. Now, we've got teams that do that, and that's fine if that's all they're ready to do. That's better than nothing. You get return. But maximum return comes from manager-led, manager-involved. In fact, I think managers are the biggest pivot point in the dealership, and you're certainly doing that's awesome. So daily training, discipline training, team training, managers in the training, you're hitting all you're like automotive sales coach. That's the check. So lastly, Eric, I know we're running out of time, but lastly, how do you feel this has affected your results? Because we always talk about we're not task oriented, we're result oriented. And we believe that if you prepare well, you'll play well. And if you play well, you'll get good results, right? But preparation is that confidence, what to do, why to do it, how to do it. Preparation is that skill, can do it. Execution, right, creates the results. So how do you feel that your training, the Dealership Playbook, and your guidance here with the reports and the training protocol, manager-led, have affected your results and your team?
Sure. So yeah, results. I mean, my instincts are going two different directions. I can kind of quantify like an ROI, but I can also kind of tell you more of like a cultural result. So there's a couple different ways of maybe answering the question. I'm not sure which way we're going, but I'll just kind of tell you both thoughts since I got them fresh. So the first thing is like results are part of results are going to be like adding to the culture of the store. When it's expected that every single person has to do this, it really helps for like the succession of like when we have a finance manager opening or we have a sales manager opening, everybody's on board. There's no, you got to start the training and you got to get on board. Like, no, we only hire from within. So you have to, you kind of have to already be up to par. So there isn't, you're always training for that next job for free. That's just how life works. So, you got to wait for the moment to arrive. So I think the results are definitely driven organically by everybody being on board, because when we say the 5 steps of negotiation or the re-ask resell, like you can't, you kind of have to know what we're talking about. The lingo is, the salespeople can't know the lingo and the managers don't know the lingo. It doesn't matter if you're a finance manager and that you do something different. These principles still translate to life in general, and of course automotive industry. So I think that's partially a result that is going to be organic through the culture. But if the question is more geared toward like, are we going to get like a return on the tool? I mean, I had a manager, like when I started in the car business, a general manager of mine 20 years ago, he told me something, and I don't even know if this is true, but he told me this, and it always stuck with me when I got into management. It was when you have an expense, you need to find a way of getting a 10x return on that. And so, at my store, based on our user count, we pay a couple $1,000s a month or something like that for the program. So we have to make $20,000 in my mind to make it a plausible expense. Otherwise, if you pay for it and you don't use it, then it's true expense, and that's not really how business works. We have to get everything, not only a return but a 10x return. We be frugal with the money, and so ultimately, the way I look at it is I want to figure out, am I going to make at least $20,000 return on the tool, because that's 10 times what I'm paying for it. And so, there's a lot of different ways of looking at it. I mean, just, basic math. If you sell 4 cars and your PVR front and back is $5,000, and that's added to the books that you wouldn't have got before, that's $20,000. Okay. So that could be a check. If your PVR is not $5,000, then maybe you need 10 cars to do it. And so there are some quantifiable ways. I know that we sell more than 10 cars, and I know our PVR is what it is. So I know I'm getting a great return on it. But there's a lot of unquantifiable, things too. Like, because my salespeople are professionally trained to negotiate, because they're doing silent appraisals and they know how to do it properly, and because they know the elements of the training, the re-ask, resell, and so on and so forth, what is the true PVR bump on all 300 to 400 cars that we're selling per month, depending on the month. So at the end of the day, if it's $300 and you're selling 300 cars on a worst case month, that's $90,000, and that's not even including adding sales to the book. So there's different ways of looking at it. It may not be $300, maybe it's $100, maybe it's $500. You really just don't know exactly what that is, but that's just the unquantifiable. But then you could take it to the next level and you could say, I sold 10 extra cars or 5 extra cars, but how many extra trades did I get? How many lifetime loyal customers did I get? So it really is a stair step. It just stacks on itself over and over and over from every different layer, if that makes sense.
I love that. Yeah. I believe that true. I think that it's really hard because, inventories climb, markets change to kind of say this is the dollar amount, but boy, you can visibly see the change. When I put this in place at the last store I ran at VW, we became one of the top 5 VW dealership in the country. Our gross was 6 times the national average. So you say, what was it before to what it grew? But there's so many factors in there, right? And gross went up so much exponentially. But what you said, I think even at sales and gross, we know that's going up, but just the cultural change. How about the joy, peace, and satisfaction? Walking the showroom floor and knowing your team gets it. And they're all moving in the same direction with the same. It's just, to me, success, excellence is the condition of my team and my business, right? If it's excellent, I have that joy, peace, and satisfaction. And of course, excellence is going to return an excellent return. But really, there's a lot of satisfaction in just the operation. I think a lot of people forgot that. We become all about just that bottom line, and that's super important. But what creates the bottom line is our people and what our people do, the quality of what they do. So thank you for that. This is awesome. You've shared with us a lot of great things. Number one, I think those 4 pillars of leadership through your tracking, your information systems, and you actually provide it to them individually they can look through. You can look through back forever, but you do it, review it live with your team every week. Here's where we are, here's where we're going, and here's the things you have at your fingertips to make it so. That is truly the type of huddle. Then your ongoing training, managers involved, you're involved every day, Tuesday through Friday, and even role playing using the AIs. That's incredible. And of course, hey, I'm in it because the group is counting on me to return on investment, right? And I'm in it because ultimately it's not task oriented, it's results oriented. Better people doing things better create better results. And there's a lot of ways that you can see that. So thank you for all that. I really appreciate you being with us. I think that dealers, managers, listen to this and measure and say, what can I steal from Eric to put in place today? Isn't that what our job is? Constantly looking around, trying to think, wow, that's great. I'm taking that from now on. And I think one of the keys is if I have a map in my hand, this is how I always do it. And you have a map in your hand and it's better than my map. Guess what I'm doing? I'm throwing my map away and asking you for a copy of yours. I'm not an idiot. Today, there's a lot of people ego-driven that would rather, this is just the way I do it. And you can't be that way with the speed of technology. You have to always be looking to be better today than you were yesterday. And keep your eyes open so that you can learn from the best and the worst. But you're certainly the best. I thank you for your time, Eric, and good selling. Let's have a great April.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you again for joining us for Prepare to Win. We hope today's insights are a benefit to you. If you like this podcast, send us a message, would you? If you want to see certain topics, let us know. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and become better today than you were yesterday. Good selling.